And of course, 10 of the men arrested in these particular raids do have student visas. We're joined by Qasim Rafiq from the Federation of Student Islamic Societies. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon
to you. For those who are trying to become students from overseas in this country, how difficult is it to get a visa at the moment?
I think particularly from certain countries, obtaining a student visa, there are stringent checks that are in place to ensure that the individuals who do apply are actually students, and that when they get here they're actually studying the course they're meant to be studying. So I do believe that the checks are in place.
Because the government has talked, hasn't it, about introducing tougher measures recently, which as I understand it include fingerprinting, for example. Have they made a difference?
I mean, to be honest, you'll have to ask immigration that question, but I do believe that these checks are sufficient. I mean, what we don't want to see as a result of this investigation, which at the moment the individuals haven't been charged, and what we don't want to see is a whole raft of new legislation that comes out as a result of this, because we have to realize if these individuals are found guilty, they are still a very small minority of the international student population that come from across the world. So we don't want to start putting off individuals from applying to some of the prestigious universities in this country and from excelling the research that takes place.
Is that your fear, that something might change, that there might be a rather swift adjustment of the laws as they stand at the moment to respond to this, and that in your mind that would be taking things too far?
Most definitely. I believe that we can actually learn a lesson from the Barack Obama administration, in the sense that by engaging with the Muslim countries and the Muslim community, and by not bringing in a whole new set of legislation and not using force, we can actually do a lot more good. And that's something that we're encouraging. We don't want to see many new pieces of legislation coming out after this.
Yet there has to be a way, doesn't there, to get the balance right. As you say, there haven't been any charges laid in this case, and we have to be aware of that as we talk. But it's about making sure that the current population of this country are safe as well, isn't it? So how do you get that balance?
Of course, there is a balance between liberty and security. But what we don't want to see at the expense of security is some of our core values and some of the liberties that we do have in this country and that we pride ourselves upon being stripped away from us. That's one of the things we're really concerned about. But of course, security is paramount, and we have to use the current processes we have in place, find out if indeed they have failed, and look to readdress these problems.
And is enough information being passed to those at the other end of the decision-making process? In other words, if you were coming from, for sake of argument, Pakistan, do the authorities in Pakistan know enough about you before you leave the country, rather than when you arrive in Britain? I mean,
it's hoped, that would be the case. I mean, we don't want to see individuals coming to this country masquerading as students when in fact they're not. That's something we want to avoid. So we do hope that the Pakistani authorities, and I think they have come out today and been quite explicit in that we want to try and avoid this situation occurring. But I think, as I've mentioned, we don't want to see a whole new set of legislation coming out in response to this.
Okay, we must leave it there, but Qasim Rafiq, thank you very much for coming in.